Welcome to day one of the 31-day meditation challenge. I'm going to bring you through the first practice, but first I thought I might say a few things about meditation and mindfulness. People often ask me what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation. And I'm sure there's 1,000 ways to answer this question. I would say that mindfulness really is about, dropping into a state of presence, to being mindful, to be remembering of what is happening all around us. And there's a quality of knowing what is happening while it's happening, without letting the lenses that we wear of judgment of I like this, I don't like this, or I have an opinion about this, to really cloud that knowing. So to be mindful is actually an innate human quality. We will experience it throughout our lives at different points quite naturally. For instance, I always use this example. I can wake up in the morning and my mind is clouded with thoughts and distractions over things that I need to do for the day. And I walk into the kitchen and smell my coffee brewing. And that sense of smell snaps me away from the cloud of distraction into the here and now, into the presence, into the knowing what is happening while it's happening without being affected by my lenses. So I know that I'm in my kitchen. I know that there is coffee there waiting for me. And I know that the only thing I need to do in that moment is to drink it. So in this way, the practice of mindfulness really is about just re-tapping into that natural place of presence that, we can access at any given time. The thing is, throughout this world of distractions and increasing distractions, it can become more distant. It can become a little bit more difficult to access. So what we do is, in training in mindfulness, is we employ meditation as a tool to really help us practice, being present, to help us practice knowing what is happening while it's happening, to help us practice noticing the distractions and choosing to come to be present with what is by resting our attention on a support. And there's all sorts of ways we might do this. Sometimes we use our breath. This is the most, probably the most common support. So we can use our bodies through body scans and movement. We can use sound, our soundscape. We can really use anything as a support. One time I was sitting in a retreat for a very long time, and I had a headache, and it was quite distracting. I had pain in my head, and it was pulling me out, and I was going into all sorts of stories about, I always get headaches. I wonder why I'm getting a headache. And I was able then to just use the sensation of the gentle ache. It was a gentle ache above my eye as a support to remain present, to come back from the stories. So really anything can be our support. And that's what we're going to do in this meditation challenge, is going to be exposed to a number of meditations, okay, that will really help facilitate and help us gain access to that place of presence. Because what we might find is that when we are present, when we aren't being distracted by this cloud of thoughts, usually what is happening in the moment, we can hold, and we can be with, and we can maybe even be kind to ourselves in the present moment, and maybe even reduce the stress and anxiety and worry that our thoughts can sometime invoke. So this morning's practice, what I'm about to do, or this afternoon or evening or whenever it is that you're accessing this practice, is going to be a practice about centering or about settling our mind. So I'm going to do this practice which really uses a strong support for when we first come to sit. And sometimes I use this settling the mind practice as part of a bigger practice. So when I first come to my cushion, my mind might be completely caught up in the cloud, and I really need a strong support to gather in that distracted energy. Okay, so I'm going to do the settling the mind practice that you might like to explore today, but keeping in mind that you can do it at any point throughout your day, but also that you can do it as part of a bigger practice as well. So as I said, we're going to use a strong support this morning. We're going to really focus on a felt sense of the breath. I'm going to invite you to deepen the breath a little bit, just for a short while. And this is really to kick in our parasympathetic nervous systems to sort of relax the body. And then I'll bring in a second support of a gentle phrase, a gentle acknowledgement of each breath. So breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. And you might like to shorten this phrase to simply breathing in, breathing out, or maybe even in, out, whatever works for you. And that's most important, is to really, what I'm doing here is just simply guiding you. So you can choose to follow my guidance, or you could choose to really make the practice your own. So I'll guide us through this process. And then when it feels okay, when it feels we've gathered in that energy, that our minds have settled, we'll be able to drop that phrase and let our breath come back to its natural rhythm. Okay, shifting our focus to the out breath, which again is the sense of letting go, and seeing if this letting go of the body, with the exhalation, can really guide our minds to do the same so that we can come to rest. So we can begin now. Okay. So when we come to practice, the first thing we might like to do is just place our body. Obviously, we can practice meditation in any position at all. We might be lying down, or we might be sitting up. We might be on a chair. We might be on a cushion on the floor. But what's most important is that we are sitting or placing our body in such a way that's really going to reflect our intention for the practice, or really embody a little bit of energy, because we're here, we're doing something, we've taken the time. How can we honor that? How can we sit in such a way that we're bringing a bit of dignity to the practice? So if we are sitting in a chair, it can be useful to having our spine straight, but at the same time our body soft and relaxed. So I like to think of it almost as if we've lengthened our spine, as if a thread is coming out of the top of our head, just pulling the spine straight. And then what we're going to do is drape our bodies around that spine. So drape the body, inviting the shoulders to drop, maybe even just gently tucking the chin. I know if you're like me, who sits at a computer a lot of the day, I often sit like this, so it can be quite a strain on the neck, so we're just gently tucking the chin. We might have our hands resting in the lap, our feet firmly planted on the ground. And you might like to close your eyes, or if it feels more comfortable, keeping them open, but if we do keep them open, we just have a soft gaze. So an unfocused gaze at some spot in front of you on the floor. Let's begin. Okay. So once again, just taking this moment to place the body, maybe having a wiggle in the seat, allowing the body to fall into its sweet spot of comfort. But at the same time, alertness. And then just taking a moment to set an intention for this practice. So intention really sets the direction in which we'd like to go. It's like pointing our compass. And we might have a general intention for this practice to settle our minds. Or seeing as this is the first practice of the challenge, we might like to set an intention for the whole challenge. And we might have an intention to ease our anxiety, to reduce our stress, or to simply rest. Or maybe there's something more personal here. So we can drop in a question. I'm seeing if we can really drop it in almost as if we're dropping a pebble into a pond. We're not following the pebble, rather we're noticing the ripples. So we're noticing what arises in response to the question. Seeing if we can be open and curious rather than searching for an answer. So what is my intention? And we might like to drop it in a second time, allowing the question to drop down a little bit further into the heart center. What is my intention for this practice, for this challenge? Again, seeing if we can just notice the response, noticing the ripples, rather than pouncing on an answer. Dropping the question in a third time, allowing it to settle down even deeper into our bellies. What is my intention? For this practice, for this challenge. And then allowing these questions to fade. And we're then going to touch in with our motivation. So we've set our intention, the direction we'd like to go. What's going to keep us moving in that direction? What's going to keep us coming back every day to this cushion? What is our motivation? So why is this important to me? How might it be helpful to practice every day for 31 days, or even just to practice right now for this meditation? What benefit might it be for myself and my own flourishing, but also for all those who I meet in the world, for others? So why is this important to me? Dropping in the question of, what is my motivation? And again, noticing if you're searching for an answer, rather seeing if you can just be with what bubbles up. Dropping the question in a second time, allowing it to sink in a little deeper into our heart centers. What is my motivation? Why is this important to me? And oftentimes our motivation can be multi-layered. There might be motivation to reduce our suffering or the difficulty in our life. And maybe there's another layer of really moving towards living each moment as if it's the most important moment and sucking the fullness out of life. There can be all sorts of different motivations. So dropping the question in a third time so that it sinks down into your belly. What is my motivation? Why is this important to me? How might it be beneficial, not only for myself, but for all those around me? To practice, to be mindful. What is my motivation? And then allowing these questions to fade. And turning our attention to the breath. So rather than thinking about the breath, really seeing if we can connect in with what it feels like to breathe. So really noticing from the inside out all the ways that the body moves around each breath. Noticing the way the body meets the breath, maybe at the tip of the nose or the mouth. brush of air on the inside of the nostrils, mouth. Cool air with each in-breath, maybe a bit warmer with each out. Maybe we can feel the gentle rise and fall of the shoulders, or the back, the upper back, the chest. Maybe we can feel the expansion of the tummy, each in-breath, the contraction with each out-breath. Maybe you might even like to place a hand on your chest or your tummy, just following the movement there. Touching in with the rhythm. Really noticing its quality, its texture. If it's short, shallow, maybe some constriction. Or long and deep, relaxed. Just noticing the curiosity. And then seeing if we can find our own natural, personal, soothing rhythm of breath. So we might like to just slightly lengthen and deepen the breath just a little bit without trying to force anything. Finding a rhythm that really softens the body, soothes the body. And we might find that our mind is moving off and thinking about all kinds of things. Maybe planning the day or going over the day of what's already happened. Or analyzing and trying to get this process right. We don't need to do any of that. So if we notice this happening, we can bring in an extra support, this phrase, this breathing in with each in-breath, breathing out with each out-breath. We're not trying to stop any of those thoughts. Rather, we're seeing if we can allow them to carry on in the background, while in the foreground we're resting our attention on this soothing rhythm and this phrase, this real strong support as a means of creating the conditions for the mind to settle, to gather in, to center. So we're resting our attention on the soothing rhythm and this phrase. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. In, out. So again, thoughts, sensations, emotions, sounds, all sorts of happenings will be carrying on. Seeing if we can just simply allow this to carry on in the background as we rest our attention on the soothing rhythm and the phrase. Not trying to block anything out at all. And as the mind slowly starts to settle, and in your own time when it does, when you're ready, you might like to drop the phrase and allowing the breath to come back to its natural rhythm. And then shifting our attention to the out breath. Staying connected to how it feels, this exhalation. How it feels to let go with each out breath. So noticing all the ways that the body releases with each out breath. Maybe noticing the shoulders drop a little bit further with each out breath. Maybe even the way the body surrenders a little bit more to the support of the chair, the earth, with each out breath. And then seeing if the mind can do the same. And with each out breath, the mind lets go of thoughts and involvement with thinking, plans, memories, trying to get it right. With each out breath, the mind lets go and drops down and surrenders a little bit more into the support of the body. So as the body is resting, supported by this chair, this earth, the mind is resting, supported by this body, and all the sensations of being alive. Just resting for a moment with this alive, breathing human body. There's no need to try to do anything at all now. just simply resting. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just for a few moments. And then when we're ready, maybe dedicating any benefits that we may have felt from sitting in practice here today, dedicating any benefits to our own flourishing, but also to the flourishing of all those around us, all those who we will meet in the world today, tomorrow, and as we go forth.